Imagine a life, once defined by the roar of engines and the impossible blue of the sky, now confined to the quiet hum of a coffee machine and the muted glow of a laptop screen. This is the world of Captain Alex Vance. Once he was Maverick, a name whispered with reverence in the hollowed halls of military aviation. Today, just Alex. A ghost of a pilot, haunted by the one mission that clipped his wings. Alex, mid-30s, sitting in a dimly lit apartment, nursing a coffee. His eyes are distant, fixed on a news report playing silently on a small TV in the background, vague reports of geopolitical tensions. For years, Alex had sought solace in the mundane, in the predictable rhythm of a life far removed from the high-stakes world he once inhabited. His apartment, sparse and orderly, was a testament to his desire for control, a stark contrast to the chaos that had defined his past. He'd traded the G-forces for gravity, the adrenaline for apathy. But even in this carefully constructed peace, the whispers of a world on edge were growing louder. Close-up on Alex's face. A flicker of unease crosses his features as a news anchor mentions unconfirmed reports of anomalous energy signatures. He dismisses it, shaking his head slightly. Alex muttering to himself, a low, gravelly voice. More fear-mongering. Always more fear-mongering. He tried to ignore it. He always did. The world's problems weren't his anymore. His battles were fought in the quiet solitude of his memories, not in the volatile skies. But sometimes a ghost from the past refuses to stay buried. Alex's phone buzzes on the table. He glances at it, then freezes. The caller ID reads, General Thorne. His expression shifts from weary indifference to a sharp, almost painful recognition. He hesitates, his hand hovering over the screen, a muscle twitching in his jaw. General Thorne, the man who'd seen him at his best and at his absolute worst. The man who, for years, had respected Alex's silence. For him to call now, it could only mean one thing. Something truly catastrophic was unfolding. A cold dread began to coil in Alex's gut, a familiar, unwelcome sensation. His fingers trembled slightly as he finally answered. Alex brings the phone to his ear, his eyes narrowing, a hint of the old Maverick returning to their depths. Alex, voice tight, a forced calm. Thorne, it's been a while. The silence on the other end was heavy, pregnant with unspoken urgency. Alex knew, even before the general spoke, that his quiet life was about to shatter. The world needed Maverick again, and he wasn't sure he had it in him. The call from General Thorne wasn't a social visit. It was a summons, a desperate plea echoing from the highest echelons of power, pulling Alex Vance back into the very nightmare he'd tried so hard to escape. Alex is now standing, pacing his small apartment, phone still pressed to his ear. His posture is rigid, his brow furrowed in intense concentration. The news report on the TV now shows a map with a blinking red dot over the Pacific. General Thorne, voice from phone, crackling slightly, grave and urgent. Vance, we have a situation. Code red. We need you. Alex, voice low, a hint of bitterness. My flying days are over, General. You know that. Thorne, a man whose voice usually carried the weight of command, now spoke with an almost pleading desperation. He knew Alex's history, his scars. But this wasn't about past grievances. This was about the future. Alex stops pacing, his eyes fixed on the TV. The red dot on the map is moving, slowly but inexorably, towards the American coastline. General Thorne, This isn't a request, Alex. It's a last resort. We have a rogue missile launched from an unsanctioned facility. It's aimed at Washington, D.C. The words hung in the air, chilling Alex to the bone. Washington, D.C., the heart of the nation. His face, usually stoic, contorted in a grimace of disbelief, then dawning horror. Close-up on Alex's eyes, wide with shock, then narrowing with a fierce, almost primal anger. He clenches his free hand into a fist. Alex, voice rising, laced with disbelief. A rogue missile? How in God's name did this happen, Thorne? Details later. Right now, we have one chance. A prototype, the Wraith. It's the only aircraft capable of intercepting it in time. But it's untested. And we need a pilot, the best pilot. The mention of a prototype, the Wraith, brought a flicker of the old spark back to Alex's eyes, quickly overshadowed by the immense gravity of the situation. He knew what untested meant in military terms, a flying coffin, a high-risk gamble. But D.C. Alex closes his eyes for a moment, taking a deep, shuddering breath. When he opens them, the hesitation is gone, replaced by a grim resolve. His jaw is set. Alex, voice firm, the Maverick returning. Where is it? General Thorne. A sigh of relief, audible even over the phone. Good. I knew I could count on you, son. A classified facility, deep in the Nevada desert. I'm sending a Blackhawk for you now. ETA 15 minutes. We'll brief you on the way. Alex hung up. The silence in his apartment, now deafening, broken only by the distant thrum of helicopter blades growing louder. His quiet life was indeed shattered. The roar of engines, the impossible blue of the sky, they were calling him back. And this time, the stakes were higher than he could ever have imagined. The desert wind whipped around Alex as he stepped out of the Black Hawk, the roar of its rotors echoing in the vast, desolate landscape. Before him stood a colossal hangar, a monolithic structure that seemed to hum with suppressed power. This was it, the crucible where the fate of a nation would be decided. Alex, dressed in a borrowed flight suit, walks with General Thorne towards the hangar. His face is grim, focused. The hangar doors, massive and imposing, slide open with a low groan. Inside, the air crackled with a different kind of energy. Scientists and technicians, their faces etched with exhaustion and urgency, moved with purpose. And in the center of it all, bathed in the stark overhead lights, was the Wraith. It wasn't just a jet, it was a phantom. Sleek, obsidian black, with lines that defied conventional aerodynamics. It looked less like an aircraft and more like a whisper made manifest. Alex's eyes widen, a flicker of awe mixed with trepidation as he takes in the Wraith. He walks around it slowly, his hand almost reaching out to touch its smooth, alien surface. General Thorne watches him, a knowing look on his face. Alex, whispering, almost to himself, "Unbelievable." General Thorne, voice low, close to Alex. "She's a beast, Alex. Faster than anything on the planet. But temperamental. And she's never been flown by a human before." Never flown by a human? The words hung heavy. This wasn't just a prototype. It was an experiment. And Alex Vance was about to become its first, and possibly last, test pilot. But before he could even approach the cockpit, a new obstacle emerged. Dr. Aris Thorne, General Thorne's daughter and the Wraith's lead designer, stepped forward. Her eyes, sharp and intelligent, held a mix of skepticism and fierce protectiveness. Dr. Aris Thorne, mid-30s, sharp, determined, confronts Alex. Her arms are crossed, her expression unyielding. Dr. Aris Thorne, voice crisp, authoritative. Captain Vance, I understand the urgency, but this is my project, and I need to be sure you understand the risks. This isn't just about flying fast. The Wraith interfaces directly with the pilot's neural network. One wrong thought, one moment of hesitation, and it could be catastrophic. Alex, meeting her gaze, a slight, almost imperceptible smirk playing on his lips. Doctor, I've been in more catastrophic situations than you've had hot dinners. And I'm not known for hesitation. Aris's eyes narrow, assessing him. A flicker of respect, perhaps, but still a wall of professional skepticism. General Thorne steps between them, a hand on Aris's shoulder. Aris, we don't have time for this. Alex is the only one. Dr. Aris Thorne sighs, but her resolve softens slightly. Fine, but you follow my instructions to the letter, Captain. Every single one. This isn't a joyride. This is a surgical strike. The tension in the hangar was palpable. Two formidable wills clashing, united only by the terrifying threat looming over D.C. Alex knew he had to earn her trust, and fast. The fate of millions depended on it. He nodded, a silent promise. The ghost was ready to fly. The cockpit of the Wraith was unlike anything Alex had ever experienced. It wasn't just a seat, it was a symbiotic interface, a second skin. Screens pulsed with alien data, and the controls felt less like levers and more like extensions of his own will. This wasn't flying, it was becoming one with the machine. Alex strapped into the Wraith's cockpit, close-ups on his hands gripping the futuristic controls, his eyes scanning the holographic displays, sweat beads on his forehead. Dr. Aris Thorne is visible on a large screen, her face serious, giving instructions. Dr. Aris Thorne, voice from comms, calm but firm. Neural link established, Captain. Remember, think your maneuvers. The Wraith anticipates. Don't fight it. Alex, voice strained, a mix of awe and concentration. Easier said than done, Doctor. This thing feels alive. The initial ascent was a blur of G-forces and raw power. The Wraith screamed into the sky, a black arrow piercing the dawn. But the sheer speed, the almost telepathic response of the jet was disorienting. Alex, a master of conventional flight, found himself a novice in this new realm. He wrestled with the controls, not against the machine, but against his own ingrained instincts. External shots of the Wraith rocketing skyward, leaving a shimmering contrail. Inside, Alex grunts with effort, his facial muscles taut. He's struggling to adapt to the jet's hyper-responsiveness. General Thorne, voice from comms, urgent. Missile trajectory update, Alex. It's accelerating. Estimated impact in T-minus 47 minutes. You need to push it. 47 minutes. The words were a hammer blow. Alex could feel the pressure mounting, not just from the G-forces, but from the crushing weight of responsibility. He had to trust the machine, trust Aris's design, and trust himself. He closed his eyes for a split second, taking a deep breath, and then opened them with renewed determination. Alex's expression hardens. He takes a moment, then his movements become smoother, more fluid. He's starting to find his rhythm with the Wraith. The jet responds, slicing through the air with effortless grace. Alex, voice clearer, more confident. Understood, General. Tell me what I'm looking at. Give me everything. Dr. Aris Thorne. We're uploading target data now, Captain. The missile is heavily shielded, designed to withstand conventional intercepts. You'll need to get in close, very close, and you'll have one shot with the EMP burst. One shot. The ultimate gamble. As Alex pushed the Wraith to its absolute limits, the world outside the cockpit became a streaking blur. He was a man reborn, a pilot once again, hurtling towards an impossible deadline, with the fate of a nation riding on his untested wings. The race against time had truly begun. The sky, once a canvas for Alex's desperate flight, suddenly became a battleground. Just as the Wraith hit its stride, a new, unforeseen threat materialized on his radar. This wasn't just about intercepting a missile, it was about surviving the journey. Alex, still in the cockpit, sees multiple red blips appear on his holographic radar. His eyes narrow, his jaw tightens. He mutters a curse under his breath. Alex's voice sharp, surprised. "Contact! Multiple bogeys! What the hell is this, Thorne?" General Thorne, voice from comms, equally surprised, a hint of panic. "Bogeys? That's impossible, Alex! Our airspace is clear!" But it wasn't clear. Out of the sun, two sleek, unmarked drones, armed and aggressive, peeled away from the clouds. These weren't standard military hardware. They moved with an unsettling, almost predatory intelligence. Someone didn't want Alex to reach that missile. External shot of the Wraith being pursued by two aggressive, dark-colored drones. They fire warning shots, narrowly missing the Wraith. Inside, Alex reacts instantly, his hands moving with the practiced precision of a seasoned combat pilot. Dr. Aris, voice urgent, analytical. "Captain, they're using advanced jamming. My systems are struggling to get a lock. They're designed to disable, not destroy, but they're incredibly agile." Alex knew this was no random encounter. This was a deliberate interception, a calculated move by the mastermind behind the missile launch. His grim resolve hardened into cold fury. He wasn't just fighting a ticking clock, he was fighting an unseen enemy. Intense dogfight sequence. The Wraith twists and turns, performing impossible maneuvers. Alex's face is a mask of intense concentration, sweat dripping down his temples. He pushes the Wraith to its limits, dodging laser fire and attempting to outmaneuver the drones. Alex gritting his teeth, a hint of exhilaration despite the danger. They want to play? Fine, let's dance! The Wraith, designed for speed and stealth, proved surprisingly adept in combat. Alex, channeling years of instinct and training, used its unparalleled agility to his advantage. He ducked, weaved, and spun, turning the desert sky into a deadly ballet. One drone peeled off, damaged, smoke trailing from its wing. But the other remained, relentlessly pursuing, a silent, deadly hunter. One drone explodes in the distance. The other drone, though damaged, continues to pursue. Alex, breathing heavily, looks determined. Alex's voice strained. One down. This last one is persistent. With a final desperate surge of power, Alex executed a maneuver that defied physics, forcing the remaining drone into a collision course with a jagged rock formation. The explosion ripped through the air, sending shrapnel harmlessly past the Wraith. He had cleared the immediate threat, but the encounter left a chilling question hanging in the air. Who was this adversary, and how deep did their reach extend? The drone attack wasn't just an obstacle, it was a message. A clear, chilling declaration from the architect of this global catastrophe. As Alex pushed the Wraith further, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, revealing a betrayal that cut far deeper than anyone could have imagined. Alex, still in the cockpit, is breathing heavily, but his expression is grimly determined. A new data stream appears on his display, encrypted communications intercepted by General Thorne's team. General Thorne, voice from comms, tight with suppressed rage. Alex, we've pinpointed the source of those drones. And the missile launch. It's General Caspian. The name hit Alex like a physical blow. General Caspian, his former mentor, a man he'd respected, even admired. The architect of the very program that had developed the Wraith. Disbelief warred with a sickening sense of inevitability. Close-up on Alex's face. His eyes widen in shock, then narrow into a furious glare. He slams a fist against the console, a rare display of raw emotion. Alex, voice low, seething with betrayal. Caspian! Why, Thorne? Why would he do this? He's been disillusioned for years, believes the current administration is weak, that the country needs a reset, a show of force to reclaim its standing. He's gone rogue, Alex. He thinks this is for the greater good. He's willing to sacrifice D.C. to prove his point. The motive was as twisted as it was terrifying. A patriot corrupted by his own extreme ideology. Alex felt a cold dread settle in his stomach. He wasn't just fighting a missile, he was fighting a ghost from his past, a mentor who had become a monster. External shot of the Wraith, now a tiny speck against the vast sky, hurtling towards the missile's projected trajectory. Inside, Alex takes a deep breath, forcing himself to compartmentalize the shock and anger. Dr. Aris Thorne, voice from comms, strained. Captain, the missile's trajectory has shifted slightly. Caspian must be manually adjusting it. He's trying to make it harder for you. You'll need to execute a high G turn, then a dive to intercept its new path. It's incredibly risky. Risky. The word was an understatement. This maneuver would push the Wraith and Alex to their absolute limits. One miscalculation, one moment of doubt, and it would all be over. But Alex knew there was no other choice. He looked at the rapidly closing distance on his radar, at the blinking red dot that represented millions of lives. Alex's face is a mask of grim determination. He nods, his jaw set. He prepares for the maneuver, his hands moving with deliberate precision over the controls. Alex, voice steady, resolute. Tell Caspian he's made a mistake. I'm coming for his toy. With a desperate gamble, Alex initiated the maneuver. The Wraith screamed in protest as it bent to his will, the G-forces threatening to crush him. He was a man possessed, driven by fury and an unwavering commitment to stop the madness unleashed by a fallen idol. The confrontation was inevitable. The missile loomed, a monstrous cylindrical shadow against the curvature of the earth. Alex had closed the distance, the Wraith now a tiny predator stalking its colossal prey. But reaching it was only half the battle. Disabling it, with seconds ticking away, would be the ultimate test. External shot of the Wraith flying dangerously close to the massive missile. The missile is dark, ominous, with no visible markings. Inside, Alex's cockpit displays show the missile's structural integrity, target lock, and the rapidly decreasing time. Alex, voice tight with concentration. I have visual, confirming target lock, preparing for EMP burst. Dr. Aris Thorne, voice from comms, a mixture of hope and anxiety. Affirmative, Captain. Remember, the EMP needs to hit the primary guidance system. It's located now. Alex lined up the shot, his breath held tight in his chest. His finger hovered over the firing button. This was it, the moment of truth. He squeezed. A blinding flash erupted from the Wraith's nose, a concentrated pulse of electromagnetic energy. A powerful EMP burst emanates from the Wraith, striking the missile. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, sparks fly from the missile's surface and it shudders violently. Alex lets out a small, relieved breath. Alex exhaling a hint of triumph. Direct hit! Did it work? General Thorne, voice from comms, a relieved sigh. Readings are fluctuating. It's slowing down. Wait, the relief was short-lived. A new, terrifying alert blared in the Wraith's cockpit. A critical system failure. The EMP had worked, but it had also caused a cascade effect, a technical glitch within the Wraith itself. The jet bucked violently, its controls flickering. Inside the cockpit, warning lights flash red. The holographic displays distort and pixelate. Alex struggles with the controls, his face contorted in frustration and alarm. The Wraith pitches and rolls erratically. Alex's voice panicked, struggling. What the hell? I'm losing control. Systems are failing. Dr. Aris Thorne, now frantic, analytical. No, the EMP feedback. It's overloading the Wraith's primary processors. You have to reroute power, Captain. Manual override, now. Manual override. In a jet designed for neural interface, it was a desperate, almost impossible task. Alex wrestled with the unresponsive controls, his fingers flying across the auxiliary panels, trying to remember the emergency protocols Aris had briefly mentioned. The missile, though slowed, was still on its path, its descent now agonizingly visible on the external cameras. Alex's hands move frantically, pushing buttons, pulling levers. He's fighting the machine, trying to bring it back from the brink. Outside, the missile, still too close, continues its slow, ominous descent. Alex, gritting his teeth, sweat pouring down his face. I'm trying. It's not responding. Give me something, Aris, anything. Dr. Aris Thorne, desperate, but still trying to guide him. The auxiliary power conduit. It's under the main console. You have to physically bridge it. A physical bridge. In a high-speed jet hurtling through the atmosphere with a runaway missile seconds from impact. It was an act of pure, unadulterated desperation. Alex knew this might be his last chance. The Wraith was a dying bird, plummeting through the atmosphere, its systems failing, the missile still a terrifyingly close companion. Alex was trapped, a technological marvel turned into a metal coffin. But sometimes, in the darkest hour, the human spirit finds a way. Inside the Wraith, sparks fly, panels smoke. Alex is struggling, his face streaked with sweat and grime, eyes wide with a desperate focus. Outside, the missile is visibly closer to the ground, its target now agonizingly clear. Alex, voice strained, ragged. I can't get to it, Aris. The console is locked down. I need more time. Dr. Aris Thorne, voice from comms, filled with anguish. We're out of time, Captain. The missile is just minutes from impact. On the ground, in the sterile control room, General Thorne and Dr. Aris Thorne watched, helpless, as the red dot on their screen hurtled towards its grim destination. Aris, her face pale, her eyes welling with tears, knew there was only one way. A desperate, unthinkable sacrifice. In the control room, Aris looks at her father, General Thorne, with a look of grim resolve. He shakes his head, understanding her unspoken intention, his own eyes filled with pain. General Thorne choked with emotion. No, Aris, it's too dangerous. Dr. Aris, ignoring him, her voice firm, resolute. Alex, listen to me. There's a backup power conduit. It's outside the main system, but it requires a direct manual overload. I can initiate it from here, but it will fry the entire control room systems. We'll be blind. A manual overload.
It meant Aris would effectively sacrifice their ability to track the missile, to guide Alex, to even know if he succeeded. They would be plunging themselves into darkness, trusting Alex to finish the job alone. It was a leap of faith, a desperate act of selflessness. Alex, still struggling, hears Aris's words. His eyes widen in understanding. Then a look of profound gratitude and sorrow crosses his face. He knows what she's offering. Alex, voice low, filled with emotion. "Aris, you don't have to do this." Dr. Aris Thorne, breaking but determined. "Yes, I do. For DC, for everyone. Just promise me you'll finish it, Alex." The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the frantic beeping of the Wraith's failing systems. Alex didn't need to say anything. His grim nod, visible even through the comms, was enough. He braced himself. Aris, tears streaming down her face, hits a large red button on her console. The lights in the control room flicker, then die. Alarms blare, then silence. General Thorne stands beside her, his hand on her shoulder, a look of profound sorrow and pride on his face. A surge of power, raw and violent, coursed through the Wraith. Its systems sputtered back to life, flickering but stable. Aris had done it. She had given him a chance. But now Alex was truly alone, a single point of light in an empty sky, hurtling towards a final, desperate confrontation. The human element, the willingness to sacrifice, had just given him a fighting chance.
The world held its breath. On the ground, silence reigned in the now darkened control room, broken only by the faint sounds of emergency generators. In the sky, Alex Vance, a lone warrior in a revitalized but still wounded Wraith, faced the ultimate countdown. The missile, a harbinger of doom, was mere seconds from impact. Inside the Wraith, Alex's face is a mask of grim, absolute focus. The primary display shows the missile, now massive, filling the screen, and a rapidly dwindling timer. T-00015, 14, 13. Alex, voice a strained whisper, as if talking to himself. Come on, come on. He had one last chance. The EMP burst, though successful in slowing the missile, hadn't completely disabled its warhead. He needed a direct physical intervention, a precise strike at its core, a maneuver so audacious, so suicidal, it defied logic. External shot of the Wraith, now a blur, diving towards the missile. Alex pushes the jet to its absolute limit, ignoring the straining protests of the airframe. The ground below is visible, terrifyingly close. General Thorne, standing in the silent control room, his hand still on Aris's shoulder, could only imagine the terror and resolve etched on Alex's face. He closed his eyes, a silent prayer escaping his lips. Aris, though blind to the visual, could feel it in the air, a profound sense of impending climax. Back in the control room, Aris is hunched over a dead console, her ear pressed to a static-filled comms receiver, straining to hear anything. General Thorne watches her, his face a mixture of fear and pride. General Thorne, voice barely audible. Come on, Alex. Alex saw it, a faint, almost imperceptible seam on the missile's casing. A weak point. It was a gamble, a shot in the dark, but it was all he had. He activated the Wraith's last resort, a concentrated energy pulse designed for precise cutting, not combat.
close-up on Alex's finger, trembling slightly, pressing a button. A thin, focused beam of energy fires from the Wraith's nose, striking the missile's seam. Time seemed to slow. The beam connected. For a terrifying fraction of a second, nothing happened. The countdown continued its relentless march. T0005 04 03. The missile shudders. A hairline crack appears on its surface, then spiderwebs outwards. A faint internal glow becomes visible. Alex, a guttural roar, pushing through the last reserves of his strength. Now! T001. The missile doesn't explode. Instead, it implodes. A massive, silent compression, a vacuum of air, then a blinding flash of light, followed by a concussive shockwave that ripples outwards. The Wraith is caught in the blast, tossed violently. And then, silence. A profound, echoing silence, broken only by the distant rumble of the shockwave dissipating. The missile was gone. Washington, D.C. was safe. External shot of the empty sky. Then the Wraith, damaged but intact, tumbling through the air, smoke trailing from its engines. Inside, Alex is slumped against the controls, breathing heavily, eyes closed in exhaustion, but a faint, relieved smile on his lips. He had done it. Against all odds, against a ticking clock, against a traitorous mind, Alex Vance had pulled the world back from the brink. The dust settled, but the echoes of his impossible flight would resonate for a lifetime.
The world awoke to a new dawn, unaware of the silent battle that had raged in the night sky. For those who knew, for those who had watched and waited, the relief was a palpable, overwhelming wave. The impossible had been averted. Washington, D.C. stood. Alex, looking exhausted but alive, is being helped out of the damaged Wraith by a team of technicians. General Thorne and Dr. Aris Thorne rush towards him, their faces etched with profound relief. Aris has tears in her eyes. General Thorne, voice thick with emotion, embracing Alex. "You did it, son. You actually did it." Alex, a weak smile, his voice hoarse. "Just doing my job, General." Dr. Aris Thorne, her voice trembling, touching his arm. "You saved us, Alex, all of us." The immediate aftermath was a blur of debriefings, medical checks, and a quiet, almost reverent gratitude from those who understood the true scale of his heroism. Alex Vance, the ghost pilot, was a hero once more. But this time, the cheers were muted, the accolades whispered, for the true nature of the threat remained classified, a shadow lingering just beneath the surface of global awareness. Alex, a few days later, sitting in a quiet, anonymous room. He looks healthier, but his eyes still hold a distant, haunted quality. He's watching a news report discussing averted crisis without mentioning the missile. General Caspian was apprehended, his twisted vision of a reset ending in ignominy. But his actions had exposed a dangerous vulnerability, a crack in the foundations of global security. And Alex knew, deep down, that this wasn't the end. It was merely the end of the beginning. Alex looks out a window, his gaze fixed on the horizon. A faint, almost imperceptible flicker of movement in the clouds. Perhaps just a trick of the light, or perhaps something else. Alex voiceover, reflective. They say the sky is limitless, but sometimes the biggest threats come from within, from the shadows we cast ourselves. He had faced death, betrayal, and the crushing weight of responsibility. He had tamed a ghost in the machine and stared down the barrel of annihilation. Alex Vance was no longer just Alex. He was a sentinel, forever vigilant, forever changed by the terminal velocity threat he had faced. The quiet life he once sought seemed a distant dream. The roar of engines, the impossible blue of the sky, they would always call to him now. The dust settles, but the story continues. What's next for Alex Vance? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the 5th Act for more high-octane adventures and thrilling stories like Terminal Velocity Threat. Your support helps us bring more incredible narratives to life.